Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered new Vex build in Borderlands 4 for Ultimate Vault Hunter 7. Now the thing is, Vex did get a bit of a nerf, but it isn't that bad. The overall damage that we can do with this, as you can see, is quite insane because she can still scale up her gun damage to very high amounts, and we have a lot of weapons that we can use. Now I'm using the Crow source there, but we have a lot of others that do work very well with this particular setup. We do want to elemental match here as best as possible because this is really a boss where you definitely need to do that. So you can see with things like the newly fixed Crazed Earl here, we can actually do some pretty insane amounts of damage against thol here, and even into the later parts of this fight, we are very unstoppable. So I'll be breaking down everything related to this build in this video. The fun thing about this is you have a lot of freedom in terms of the weapons that you can use, but elemental matching is going to be obviously something very big here, as unlike Cash and Harlow, it is a little bit harder to get the platinum time, but it is doable. And I'll be showing you the entire build here, just starting off from the beginning for those that are starting off. The green skill tree for Vex is one of her best by far. We're going to start off at level 1 here with Grave Sight. So this is a kill skill. Whenever you get a kill, you then can get critical hit damage increases. The cool thing about this is there's a new class mod for Vex that'll actually give her Mortal Terror, but we're still going to take it anyway. Continuing on, we're going to take Grave Implements here. This can give you 20% gun damage per kill, and again, we can stack this up easily. We can then take it up to 120% gun damage by taking Grave Power, which will increase the stacks of our kill skills. After this, we need 2 more points to get to the later levels. Target Prescience here is a pretty solid choice, but I like to take 1 point in Guns and Needles, as this is a kill skill, and with this, with a specialization now with Caffeine, we have infinite time basically on our action skill, and we're going to put a single point into Bloodletter. We can take more later. Bleed is still pretty powerful despite the nerfs a while back. After this, I like to go then and take Drink Full. The Keen Mind here doesn't really benefit us as much as an increased fire rate. Again, this is going to allow us to open up and use a lot of different weapons in this game. Basically, you're going to scale your fire rate up, but we really wanted to come down here to take Mortal Terror. This gives us a chance to activate kill skills when critically hitting enemies. One thing I do want to quickly mention is Phase Pocket lets us use a few different weapons like the new Constable Shotgun, as this will increase the magazine size, allowing you a bit more leeway when we use our Witchy Trigger Finger. It is a consideration if you find that you like to use smaller magazine weapons, or if you just find the timing isn't perfect with the Witchy Trigger Finger ammunition refunds. But for now, I'm just going to leave that there. We're then going to come over to Ars Arcana. This increases our skill damage. Bleed is a skill as well as our action skill, obviously, too. And something fun about this is the skill damage also applies to Bloodshot. So we could take a point into this to give ourselves that extra damage because we will be using Repkit. So I like just a single point here just because we have a lot of skills that we need to take. We can't be sparing our skill points too much, but a single point there does give us actually a nice boost to our overall damage since we'll be spamming Repkits. Now Essence Leech is important here because this gives us lifesteal, so it makes us tanky, but what's more important about this is it's doubled in its effect when our action skill is active, but this will give us sustain to be able to continually use different things like amp shields. So those will actually be very beneficial on a build like this when using the Teen Witch class mod, which we'll get into a little bit in a moment. Blood is Power will give us bonus kinetic damage. Now, bonus kinetic damage will take those increases from Grave Implements. So the spare you to math, it is really good. It will be 300% of your lifesteal, and when our action skill is active, we have 20% right here. Our class mod can give us even further lifesteal, but this is what we're going to be taking for the green skill tree. At this point, it depends. I typically like Vibe Check for our capstone, as this will give you your Eldritch Blast will become a charge skill and you allow it to ricochet around to multiple enemies. We get this back pretty quickly, but you can use Heart Piercer though. It's entirely up to you, but I think for the new bosses, Vibe Check, since there's so many enemies in the arenas, this helps, especially when you're going against thol. We'll also take Witchy Trigger Finger here. Is this going to give you increased gun damage per stack? This was previously nerfed. It used to give you 6 stacks pairing with the Great Power, but it's not technically a kill skill, so they end up nerfing that there, unfortunately. But after this, I like to go over to the red skill tree because Enchantment is really good. This is something I've been using in a lot of builds, and even before the level cap increase, because we're going to have our action skill up often, and this is an extra 37.5% bonus damage. Again, bonus damage takes those increases that we got from Grave Implements, making it a very effective skill. Now it's kind of tough here because we do need some skills to get further as we want Morning here. Grave Sustenance is nice, as this is also a kill skill and it'll give us missing action skill duration. We don't need too many points into this because you'll have really good uptime on your action skill with this. But even taking Hasty Fiends for the movement speed and damage reduction is quite nice if you want that, but you can put all points into Grave Sustenance. It's entirely up to you. Just movement speed's such a luxury in this game, it's nice to have. but we're coming down here just so we can grab Morning. So kill skills get increased effectiveness. So 30% extra effectiveness. This does pair with this here. So this used to be 120% gun damage. It now becomes 156% gun damage. And likewise, all the other abilities here will scale better too. So this is really nice. I actually did try using Icy Attunement on this build because it's a kill skill, which gives you Ordnance cooldown. Honestly, not worth using, but we'll then go back to the green skill tree. We have 5 points left, and I think that taking Bloodletter is a good choice because this just gives us more bleed, which is really good. We got a single point here. You can, if you don't want to go with the bleed, take the target Prescience here for that critical hit chance with our gun, but we can even use the critical hit knife. There's lots of options for this, so bleed or the crits. And for the final point, you go with material components to increase our kinetic damage because we have a lot of ways to use it. Or you can take a single point of phase pocket just for the slight magazine boost. It can be nice. I like to have a few more points in that just again because it allows you to use a few more weapons with the witchy trigger finger. And yeah, because that gives you your ammunition back. Moving on to class mods. Now, I just actually got this Team Witch class mod from the new bosses. Ideally, you're going to get points into Grave Thirst because more lifesteal, the better. This one came with gun damage though, which obviously is really nice. And it only has 11 instead of 12% lifesteal, but traditionally you'd want to go with one that's going to give you the most points into the Grave Thirst there, and any type of damage dealt increases are quite nice. Damage reduction, this one has 5 points in Grave Thirst. It's kind of ideal, but we want more damage. We don't want damage reduction because we are quite tanky. I got a single roll in this into conjunction here, increasing our gun damage the more full our shields are, which is nice because we do have some ways to benefit from that. Corporeal will give us increased damage dealt when we have overshield, which is going to be often, and this will also give us an increased overshield capacity, further increasing our tankiness. But as mentioned, ideally we'd want to get more Grave Thirst because we can get 6 stacks of this. Lifesteal is just so good because it's going to fuel our damage even further and also fuel our survivability, so we can be extremely tanky. Technomancer is pretty fun to use, giving Eldritch Blast Ordnance damage increases. However, this one just doesn't give us the survivability we need, and it ends up being less DPS. I have been working around with configuration because there's some pretty crazy stuff that you can do here, but unfortunately this is not the build. I'll probably be posting another Vex build here soon, as Vex is my favorite character to play. Unfortunately, she doesn't scale like Harlow and Cash do. But there's also the new Grim Sister class mod, which does give us those points into, I don't really have a good roll of it, but it can give you Mortal Terror to activate your kill skills with crits. This does open things up and lets us go into different ways. What's cool about this is it's going to give you increased damage dealt the longer our Incarnate is active. The only problem is, from my time testing this against the bosses, the damage is really nice. It's the survivability. Vex just goes down so much quicker without that extra overshield. Having lifesteal is one thing, but these bosses in Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 can one-shot your entire health bar, so unless you're going to use something like the Timekeeper's new shield to reduce your health overall, or increase your health overall, reduce your shields, it's going to be hard. And I will be testing this even further because it is a fun one, but for the purposes of this build, we want to use Teen Witch because this will actually fuel our watch for dinner. This one here has the amp. This is something I grinded for a very long time. You don't need the 150% gun damage version, but obviously the more the better. This one will take up 35% of our shields for 150% gun damage. The funny thing is that increasing gun damage does fuel and kind of give us even more lifesteal because we're dealing more damage. So you can sustain yourself with this. It also gives you plus 25% shock damage. As mentioned though, the Timekeeper's new shield with the other class mod can be effective because we do have lifesteal, but I just found it was a little bit difficult to maintain. You can also go with something like the Super Soldier, and any of the other shields like Protean Cell could be pretty nice, but I'm a fan of the Watch for Dinner. Now for our enhancement, this depends on the weapons that you want to use because they really do benefit those. I like the Stud Finder from using a Torg weapon like the Skoonshoot or the Shalashaska or the new Herald, but right now I found Order weapons did a pretty good job. You can see the rolls on this are terrible. Pistol aim down sights proficiency is not benefiting this build in the slightest, and assault rifle status damage is a pretty poor roll, but the increased damage when firing from full charge is great because you saw there with one single burst of the Crow Source, you can see the boss's health bar just gets deleted. So if you're not using any of these weapons here, the probably best choice would be the Bounce Past Jacobs because you do need to deal with the mobs in this boss fight and in just mobbing in general. So this would probably be the best one. Again, I have terrible rolls on all of these. I just don't want to farm and give the perfect gear for these builds just so that you guys can do this as well. But yeah, I like the Order one with the Order weapons, but Jacobs, even Maliwan can work well too. For our Ordnance, now, there's a couple choices here. The critical hit knife is still going to be one of our best options, as this really does allow us to stack damage. And since the thol boss fight is so large, you can throw this at him and you just get a bunch of crits and it'll take out the enemies nearby if you're using a Jacob's weapon. So this can be good. Slippy is also great too. It's a grenade that deals melee damage and it can splash around in area of effect, which is always good. You could even use something like the waterfall too, but the critical hit knife is just one of the best choices. And for our Repkit, I like the triple bypass because sometimes we often need to get our action skill back. Having 3 charges is huge. I have one with Leech for the 30% lifesteal, which doesn't actually apply the extra damage that we get from our skills here, unfortunately, but it's extra lifesteal, so it goes to your shield and allows you to stay alive longer. There's also ones like Enrage, and I think Enrage is pretty solid, given 30% extra damage dealt, but you take more damage. Since we're so tanky, this is not actually that bad, and that's something I've been using a bit here, but I like this one here just because I also have high caliber, and I don't want to transfer it over and delete this one. Speaking of high caliber, our Firmware. This is really good because bullets piercing means that you can shoot it at the subjugator and hit the little targets behind him to take those out a little bit quicker. This is great too whenever you're using any type of explosive weapon, any Torg weapons, things like that, because you can jump up, shoot the target, and it'll explode on the ground. So you hit them once, you hit them twice. It is pretty powerful and really good with like the Shalashaska, although the Shalashaska is kind of hard to use against Subjugator because he's flying. The Atlas Infinitum, it's okay. I would actually recommend the new firmware if you want to use things like the Crow Source, which benefit order weapons quite a bit. But the true best would probably be 3 Deadeye, 2 high caliber, or 3 high caliber, 2 Deadeye. That'd be my choice, but I was mixing around different rolls and gear here, so obviously firmware is annoying to transfer. I hope they fix the UI for that. Now, weapons. I'm using all pearls here. I've been using some of the new ones here, so I really do like the new Juliet Sparkle with a shotgun loader, but just be mindful that we chew through ammo like it's nobody's business. It's insane. So using this with this SMG and assault rifle would be ideal. Typically shotgun loaders give you better damage, but we have other shotguns like the Crazed Earl that are just so good that we'd rather save our shotgun ammo for these. Now the Crazed Earl got fixed, so it is actually really good here. This one is really powerful because whenever you shoot a target, you can then go up and melee them and do a huge burst damage on them. This can also be done with Groundbreaker for even further damage. Very powerful. I really like the Crazed Earl. It's good. The Crow Source, though, these are all from the DLC ones, so you do have to purchase for these. So if you don't have these weapons, don't worry, you don't need the weapons. But Crow Source is what you saw at the start there. It's a crazy powerful order assault rifle. There's not many amazing assault rifles in this game, but out of the ones that I do like, the Bonnie and Clyde is just unstoppable. What you can do with this one is you can do it in the shotgun mode, take out a mob, and then turn it to the assault rifle, because on kill, you get 150% damage, and it refills the magazine. So you would swap between the two of them, but I found that the mobs in this boss fight have insane amounts of health. I hope they end up changing that around, because they are frustrating to deal with. But another one that's really nice is Complex Rude. You can have it, if you get the Atlas License Underbarrel, you can target or homing projectiles on targets, and then it does insane amounts of damage, especially with a Jacob's roll in it. I just don't have an ideal element on this. Cryo is not super fantastic in this fight. For general mobbing, you can use the Wombo combo or even Bloom Reaper, as the crits or the explosions will help out. Also, the Convergence is an amazing shotgun and very worthwhile on this build. I also want to mention the Stray, because the Stray is pretty crazy, especially if you get the target marker increasing the damage dealt. This is more so for mobbing, but it can actually deal with a lot of bosses as well. And one thing I do want to mention is that if you're using a bod, you don't even have to use the stickies. The stickies did get a bit of a nerf, but this is still really good because it's going to take all of our gun damage increases, which Vex has a lot, 156% there, and it stacks up. It did get capped to only do 60% of that now, but still that's taking it 5 times 0.6. So it's pretty decent damage nonetheless, but obviously we do feel this nerf. I also want to mention the TK's Wave is another incredible weapon here with high damage. The Seventh Sense is also a really nice one, especially because we can actually use this pretty well with our Witchy Trigger Finger. And as mentioned, Shalashaska is great too. Where this weapon really shines is against thol, because if you shoot it and reload manually 5 times, you shoot it 5 times projectiles. If you have like the Jacob's enhancement that increases this, or not the Jacobs, but the Torg enhancement that increases the size of the explosions, and you have the Torg license magazine, this thing does insane damage because it just explodes and just takes out enemies really quickly. The Flash Cyclone, another really great weapon if you can get it with Ripper and Jacob's parts. And the new Gomi, or Constable, is really good. The Gomi kind of sucks, but the Constable is tough to use because it's a 4-round magazine, so unless you take a lot of the magazine increases, you're gonna have a harder time using that because it shoots 2 pellets at once, so it goes through them really quickly. Juliet Sparkle, as mentioned, is really fun to use. I like this. I have a shotgun loader. Prefer the assault rifle just so we can spread around damage, because assault rifle, the crow source it's actually really good on your ammo. You don't run out using this against the new bosses, so that is pretty solid. The Herald's honestly not terrible on this build. It's better against the thol fight because the extra damage, it's going to hit him because it shoots off a ton of projectiles. And even the jailbroken Gatling, which is actually pretty solid as well. I have a good roll on this. Shock and Corrosive allows you to clear the first phase pretty quickly. This shoots fast, and I have a shotgun loader on it as well. Now for our specializations, now with caffeine is amazing because the action skill cooldown whenever we use a Repkit is almost essential because we get our Repkits back so quickly from using the guns and needles. Alternatively, you could put another point into here. I should mention that because it does help out quite a bit, but I find that with this, we're rolling with in terms of our Repkit. Riddle you this will give us 50% extra gun damage, which is great. Also, I'm a gun will take all of our gun damage increases and add it to our action skill. I have bare arms. If you're gonna use the mantra, I should also mention the mantra shotgun is pretty solid, but the mantra also chews through ammunition and shotgun, the most valuable ammo in this game. I've been begging Gearbox to increase the ammunition sizes because we do feel it in this boss fight, but if you're not going to use that, you can then throw on a honed mine, which will give you increased critical hit chance with your action skill and in further increased damage. This is really good when you throw crit knives. It further scales up your Eldritch Blast damage quite a bit. We can also toss contamination here or compounding afflictions because we do apply stasis pretty quickly. Now the typical flow when we're in combat is we want to use, obviously, elemental matching is kind of the bread and butter for these builds just because you see there the damage output is so crazy. I really like the, no, we took that out fast. I'll put that into true mode just because our damage is crazy. Once you get a few shots off on a target, it's going to start scaling up your damage quite a bit, and it just will start deleting enemies. So that's the crazy part. Forgot to throw my Eldritch Blast there, but yeah, we basically want to be always tossing Eldritch Blast out as much as possible. Yeah, you cleared that really quickly. You didn't even have to elemental match against this boss, but for thol and subjugator, you definitely do. So basically you want to get out there, throw your critical hit knives on, and then start off by, you can use the Eldritch Blast to start off with. That'll give you your ammunition back. So I'm using the Crazed Earl here. With the Crazed Earl, you do have to get in close range there and go for a melee attack. But this thing is just so powerful that it's honestly worth it. Because yeah, you see there, you go in melee, half the health bar is gone. So yeah, that is the new updated build for Vex. And I will be experimenting more with a red skill tree Vex because I've been asked that a lot. Trouble is really fun to play with, just not as optimal as we'd want it to be. So hit the subscribe button below if you enjoy, and I hope you guys all have a great day.